So, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We haven't really uploaded for quite some time now. Turning around, kind of show you the goods. So we made a little bit of a horse trading deal, as we always do, a little dirty. But we had the old Kentucky truck from last year. We bought in Kentucky, Ellis Fest, all that cool stuff, and drove all the way home. No one really cared about it, it's just old square body truck. Anyways, we found something cool on Facebook Marketplace, and we're like, that's kind of cool. That'd be cool to take to Ellis Fest this year in Vegas. And did horse trading. The guy agreed to do the trade for this vehicle. It's the same color, which is kind of cool. But anyways, here it is. It is a NAS truck, or a spec truck. Let me get around this thing. Here she is. There's a clip and everything. It's an S10 body for it, but we're gonna street legal it, and we're gonna put an Ellis in it. We have an Ellis market block in there right now. It has a 2-speed power glide. This thing just raced at Willow Springs, like I think a couple months ago. All the stuff seems really nice on it. I don't know any other information about it, but all the welds look really good. The suspension looks good. The tie rods, all the joints look good. Has a 12-to-1 steering box. Has power steering, so we have lines in a reservoir to hook up to the LS power steering pump, or I guess yeah, pump. And then we're gonna mount a passenger seat in it so we could have fun with 2 people. Just got like a Kirky seat. Gonna mount that in there. And then the driver's seat's already mounted and everything. Then I have to panel this all in. Put a trans dipstick tube. So we got the truck in the shop. Johnny got the motor all torn down. And then I start cleaning up the frame. Right, this where about the frame or the engine mounts will land. And there's already mid plate in there. So we're gonna take those bolts off, get some bolts for the motor, so we could just slide that in. This is, I'm not gonna slide it out, but actually I didn't clean all that stuff off, but this slides in and out. I don't really understand how this stuff works on the direct drive stuff, but all the circle track guys do it. So I made some motor plates. Now I'm going to mount these on the motor and then do some paper templates off this to the frame. And it's going to be solid mounted, no pushing or anything. So it should be pretty easy to do. We got the motor in. I'm still finishing. It's a mess, by the way. Just everything's exploded. So we got that header's up there, and we're going to do a 180 and then out that side, and then this one is going to go out this way. We're going to cut this tube down. I didn't want to cut that, Johnny was doing all this, but we didn't want to cut this tube out. I don't know which would be more work, working on the header, working on the tube. We think we should leave it all the structure right there. We could have notched this tube a little bit or like rerouted it, but I'm just gonna leave that. These are only $90 headers, so I don't want to cut up a truck for that. This engine mount is done. Wasn't too bad. This side is getting a little tricky because of the steering shaft. I could just go straight across, but I don't think that would be as strong. So something like that. It's kind of hard to see, but you get the idea. So one side would be like that, the other side obviously can't be like that, or could do straight down on right here. But I'm done for the day. It's hot. It's gonna be cool. This is the Holley low ram intake. Probably shouldn't have all this dust. That's not good. It'll be okay. It'll develop. So yeah, motor's 90%, 70, I would say 75% done. Motor plates on the back. That side's done. This side's working on it. Little update. We started running. Well, we got to the shop a little late today, but we got headers ran, and it's going out the door, which is not probably the best idea, but it's going to be a little rowdy truck, so might as well make some really obnoxious exhaust sounds. And you see some ton of holes right here because I made a cool little bezel. Old Garner Bros look right there. So she's gonna sit right here. Hopefully these holes line up because I just kind of winged it. Then we're gonna cut that flush with the cab. We had to drop the trans last night, which sucked. Now it should be good. The flex plate does grind a little bit now when you start it, but maybe it will self-clearance itself. And then we pie cut this side, which we gotta fix this big old hole in the exhaust. So we pie cut that, bent it out a little bit more, so now we don't have to plug up half the hole in one of the cylinders. And then Johnny's still running the exhaust. He went home because he's tired, but we're gonna run the exhaust out right here and out the door, or fender, whatever it is. Hopefully we get this thing running tomorrow. Fuel lines are done. Starter's kind of done. Engine mounts are done. Basically everything else besides mounting a passenger seat and running water lines to the back. But I'm going to run 2 steel hoses like down the side of the cab right there, and then run some soft lines to the front. The tires, so we don't know anything about direct drive, but the tires were moving really every fast. Time we revved it, it like jumped. Tight. That was aggressive. What? It was aggressive.
What? Open headers. Pretty freaking loud.
Jesus.
We're gonna have our buddy Dakota Dale come over and tune it. We're not gonna really run anymore. We're gonna wait for our ICT billet AC, or not AC. We're not gonna do AC. It's gonna be hot in Vegas, so ICT billet, alternator bracket, and power steering bracket, because this is a power steering NASCAR. I don't know if they're NASCAR power steering, anyways, but she runs. We'll see if she drives next week or this week.
We just gotta clean up all the wiring, patch up this fender well, firewall, and mount the passenger seat. But this thing sounds
Put the fuel pressure sensor.
Toasty. Yeah, here it is. So here's the switches. So 59.
What? It just jump. It doesn't let you do anything. I don't think this lever works.
Alright, so we got the truck running. We got to replace the power steering pump because it's leaking. I think it leaked all the fluid out, so now we are just running it dry. Ran the water through it, kept on overheating. We think it's a timing issue now. The headers are red hot, very rich. It popped my ears with my headphones on, so there's that. Our neighbors probably hate us. We are in a commercial area, so kind of got to deal with it. So I am going to, we put a steam port in there because it was pouring air out of the lines, and we jacked up the front end to get the air out of the system. Now it's staying under 200, which is cool. I took the thermostat out. What else? The shifter linkage on the clutch, or whatever the release pedal, or for the direct drive, you have to press the clutch in, and then it basically activates the trans and go forward. We broke that off, so that's why it wasn't going forward. Well, it was going forward just abruptly, even if he tried gassing it, and he's still like did a little burnout on accident. So we got to weld it on. I'll show you what this little thing looks like because I have a spare trans right here. So this is the shifter linkage on the bottom, and this kind of goes with it. There's like a keyway, but there you go. So you can't tell in the video, but there's a little bit of pressure on that, but there's only like, so there's pressure starts, stops. So let's say a ½ inch. So there's a stop on the truck, and there's like a little washer. I think this is just welded on. And a ton of washers, but I think that's just welded on the end. So we'll weld it back on, and then the shifter is like so. And that's a 2-speed power glide with direct drive. And there's a shaft in there, basically replaces the torque converter. Well, we had a really fun cruise night. We didn't film any of it on a camera, so we filmed, well, phone is a camera, but we got some videos of this thing doing some burnouts and donuts down Highway 1.
Got it though, run.
Oh wow. Did we get in trouble for that? We did it anyways. The videos are posted. So we took this old jalopy to the car show or cruise night. It did great. It did exceptionally well. And then we went to load it onto the trailer to drive it home because we didn't want to chance that twice. I blew up the second tranny. That is that guy right there. We lost reverse. Well, we got reverse. That's all. We have 5 reverses. So it's reverse in every single gear because I was trying to back into the driveway, got it in the garage, and then, or backed in. I don't know how. Anyways, I backed in, and then tried backing on the trailer, and then spun the tires, and the reverse locked up. Spit out some bands on the oil pan, which is really cool. Then we got hit up from the Hoonigans. We don't know if this is for sure deal or not to go. 5 reverses. So we got hit up from the Hoonigans to do this versus that with this truck, but now we blew up the tranny, and this is Monday. We need to get this thing done by Wednesday morning. It's not a 100% deal to do this versus that, but we are taking it to Ellis Fest on Thursday, which we need to get this thing there for. And so we are going to swap a Turbo 400 in this thing. It should work. We're going to have to do some work on it. Our buddies at Gar's Transmissions in Paso Robles is going to pump out one for us tomorrow, do a slip yoke one, and get this thing driving. But we have to cut out the cross member right here, and then I'm going to just do 1-inch square tubing underneath and brace it in so we could run a torque converter because this will hit that. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this off with our Diablo Tools Sawzall blades and make a Turbo 400 fit. The drive shaft should work with it. We just have to swap out the slip yoke. That is this guy right here, because this is a little baby and we need a little bigger one. but we might need to get a new drive shaft made. So hopefully we could find someone to make his drive shaft fast. But I'm gonna start by chopping that sucker off, put the new, well, we have a mock-up Turbo 400 that we're gonna use, and maybe we could use the shifter linkage on the Turbo 400, but this thing was very, back to my face, it was very fast, very fun. I still didn't finish up the passenger seat area, but I have most of the stuff done for it. But for now, it'll be a one-seater. We're gonna add a second seat at some point, but it drove really, really good. It whips around super fun. I've never driven anything like this, not even close. The closest thing I had to this type of truck was the SRT10 pickup, and the only thing I'm having problem with is keeping traction because the tires are just slicks, but it whips around really cool. I'll put some videos of that thing whipping around on the street. We did a couple drive-bys. The direct drive sucks for what we're trying to do with it, so I think running a torque converter is going to be really what's going to make this truck a lot more fun to drive, and we could just throw anybody in it to drive it. So I'm going to go cut that thing and get a new trans in there, and hopefully this is ready by Wednesday. Johnny's doing a really good job. It is Wednesday. Ellis Fest starts on Friday. We are going tomorrow to Vegas, so we're leaving early in the morning. It's like 9 o'clock now. We are going to, or Johnny's test driving right now. It is getting a little warm, but he's just test driving real quick. We got some headlights on it and brake lights. We don't have any running lights, so that's kind of bad. We do have a license plate for it, so it'll be street legal, but almost done. Almost Ellis Fest, Vegas. Sorry, it's so dark.